Good afternoon again, everybody, and welcome to the Endless Studios live stream. I am Brian. If you joined us on Friday, you saw me already, and down below me here are a couple of new faces. We're going to be talking about our second starting project here in the summer of 2021 in Endless Studios, and I've got the team behind that project with me today. So let me start by introducing Cory. Cory, you are kind of an exciting story here in Endless Studios because you are a former participant in an earlier learning program that we did. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing in game making now?
Right. So hi, my name's Cory. Nice to meet everybody. Uh, Way back in 2016, I was a participant in one of Eline's summer games development workshops, where I did some of the things that you guys are going to be doing, just developing game levels and learning about game design in general. And since then, I have pursued game design as a career. I'm going to school at DigiPen Institute of Technology, pursuing a Bachelor's of Arts in Game Design, and I'm really passionate about making interactive experiences that are really fun for the players and fun for me to make. So I hope that those experiences connect with you guys.
Cool. Thank you, Cory. Thanks for coming back to us this summer as well. We are excited to have you. And I think as folks will see as we get into things today, I think you've got an exciting project planned for us. Also joining us today is Dan Williams. Dan is a member of our studio here at Eline, based in our studio in Phoenix, Arizona. Dan, tell us a little bit about yourself too.
Hey everybody. So I actually went and already did get the major that Cory went for. I have a bachelor's in art and game development, so I am pretty much on the same path as him, just a little further along. But I ended up kind of shifting over and becoming a technical artist. So I do some programming, I do some tools building, and then I do some character work and rigging as well. And so they thought, hey, maybe I would be a good resource for Cory on this project to help fill in some of the blanks. And it became very clear to me very quickly that he is much smarter than me and much better at all this than me. So it was fun to get to work with him and kind of get to support him on this project. So.
And Dan, just if you could briefly tell us a little bit about the kinds of games you've worked on in your professional career. What kind of stuff have you done?
Yeah. So early on, I my first ever job was a big MMO. It was a 3-faction MMO that never saw the light of day, but it was a ton of fun. It was on the Hero engine, which is probably why it never saw the light of day. No offense. It's just you need a lot of help to work with that. And then from there, I actually went and I did military simulation for a while, which we use Unity for. So we train people how to use infrared cameras and stuff by building simulations. And that was a ton of fun. And it kind of reignited my passion for learning Unity. And at that point, I was able to connect with a programmer that I worked with and keep him up till 3 a.m. on Skype every night, asking him, how do I program this? How do I program that? And it eventually just really clicked with me. And that's how I kind of shifted over to becoming a tech artist, because just making stuff that I needed all that help from, it wasn't enough. I wanted to be able to bring a lot more to the table and kind of expand that skill set a bit. And then I ended up doing a few mods that you might be able to find on Steam, which I won't talk about because they're not very good. And then I ended up working at Eline, and we worked on the Endless Mission and a bunch of other fun prototypes and projects and things like that hopefully you will get to see in the coming months or years. So.
Yes, and we will be talking a lot about the Endless Mission on this stream, because that's the tool we're going to be using to make our Dawn City Heist game, which is the subject of the stream. Before we get into that, I thought I might just briefly talk a little bit about what we're doing here and what the philosophy is, to give a little context. And then I want to spend the majority of the time diving into your project, Dan and Cory, so folks can understand what that's all about. So just to set the stage a bit, we've been making games at Eline for a long time. We've also, for over a decade, been trying to help folks learn game making. As you heard from Cory, we've done that in a variety of ways. We've done hands-on game making programs. We've had software out there that has been used in classrooms, games that are about game making. And we've done some prior online programs as well. We constantly try to evolve what we're doing and think about it in different ways. This summer we're trying a format where the approach is, instead of this being like a class, or instead of it being like, well, here's a project that you do to learn game making and you follow it step by step, let's make some actual games. So let's get people who make games like Cory and Dan, or if you saw the stream last Friday, like Kayla and Natalie, let's get some folks who actually make games, and let's make some games together. And those professionals will work with folks who are still learning to make games, who will participate in the real game making process. So there are lots of ways, some of which we'll talk about today, that you'll be able to get involved if you are a new game maker and you're a participant in Endless Studios, that you'll be able to get involved with Dan and Cory's project and contribute to it, and actually have your contributions make it into what we release inside the Endless Mission. That's where we'll be releasing this project and showcase as the output of Cory and Dan's project. We'll talk a lot about what the details of that are and what it means to participate. But the notion is, you can sort of think of this as, if you participate, and to the extent that you participate, you're joining like a little mini game studio where this project is run by Cory and Dan, and you get to do stuff to help them further the game. If you don't know how to do certain things that you might be called on in that project, you don't have to do those things, or you can learn how, and we'll make resources available for you to do that. So it's really learn by doing. It's really contributing, just like if you were, in school and you're on a sports team, you learn the skills, on the sports team as you practice and you actually compete. Or if you're in the school play, you actually put on a show. You don't like just sit around and act. In your drama class, you're actually putting on a show and people come and see it. Well, we're making a game and folks are going to be able to play it when we're done and you can participate. So that's the approach. If you are not already signed up to participate in our beta, and that sounded interesting, you can join the list and get an invite to our beta by visiting studios.theendlessmission.com and following one of the sign-up links. And then you can expect an invite from us to join, and we would love to have you. So with the preliminaries and the high-level stuff out of the way, I think I've mentioned the title of your project, Dan and Cory. That's Dawn City Heist. Cory, tell us a little bit about that game. What kind of game is it? What other games might folks know that are similar or in the same genre, or that you drew inspiration from? Creatively, sort of tell us at a high level what the concept is about.
Sure. So Dawn City Heist is what this project is called, and it is a first-person stealth game. You play as sort of a cunning thief in this futuristic cyberpunk technologically advanced city where you are on a heist mission and you have to go and steal an artifact of interest. And you're also stealing as much other loot as you can on your way. But to do so, you have to be careful to avoid these patrolling robot drones and make sure you don't get seen. So you can hide in the environment and you can carefully time your movements to get around. And then once you've got what you're after, your goal is to get out. You have to escape the area where you are heisting. And so this game is similar. The gameplay is takes inspiration from games like Thief or the Dishonored series, where it's a first-person stealth game. You're avoiding enemy AIs, and you're looking for loot and trying to steal as much as you can.
And in terms of why did you come up with that genre, Cory? I mean, is that a personal favorite of yours? Is that did something in particular inspire you? Where'd you draw inspiration from to pick that for your project?
So the inspiration comes from a couple of sources. I am personally a fan of first-person stealth and also other stealth gameplay, third-person games. I like to feel like I'm outsmarting the AI and just being really clever by getting around the things that are walking around in the level. But also, the Endless Mission has built-in functionality to support games like this, games that are first or third person. And there's also a lot of existing assets in the Endless Mission that kind of help us create this cyberpunk, far future, super technologically advanced look that we're going for.
Cool. Dan, I didn't ask you this before the stream. Are you a stealth game player?
Yeah, when Cory was mentioning Thief, I got very excited because that's one of my favorite games that I grew up on. It's actually one of the first times like my mom and I would play a game together, even though it's not a multiplayer game. She was very into Thief as well, and so Thief: The Dark Project has like a special place in my heart, and it kicked off a whole love of that genre as well. And Dishonored, made by some of the people that worked on Thief, you feel a lot of the DNA in there as well. So I love what that genre turned into, which we've started kind of calling the immersive sim, and I think that is a genre that I love more than most other genres. So yeah, when Cory mentioned that to me, I was like, yeah, you have my vote. Let's go. Let's do it right now. Let's go.
See,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that when I paired you guys on the project, and that is pretty serendipitous. I like that. What I'll say is I personally, it's funny, right? Like the stress of maintaining stealth in a stealth game, I've never been able to handle that, and it's like that's for me. Like I mean, I know a lot of people enjoy it, and I totally get why it's fun. It's too high stress for me, you know. I'm like I think Cory, you were telling me one of your favorite games is Horizon Zero Dawn, and I just picked it up in the Steam Summer Sale and did a little play over the weekend. And it's not as immersive or exclusively a stealth game as some of the things you're talking about, but it's obviously a big part of it. And I can't even handle the stress of that. I'm constantly afraid that machines are going to find, and they frequently do because I don't play a lot of those games and I'm not very good. So I'm not maintaining stealth very well.
Yeah, that's for sure another inspiration, the stealth in Horizon Zero Dawn. And as well as aesthetically, I really, really enjoy sci-fi and like robots and machines and how those play with humans and other beings. So that's another inspiration for the feel of it.
We've mentioned it several times that we're, and you talked about it, Cory, in the context of the aesthetics of this game as well. We're going to be using the Endless Mission to build this project. Dan, since you worked on the Endless Mission, what is the Endless Mission?
Well, let me see if I can get this right without marketing sending me a message and saying don't say that. So the Endless Mission is kind of interesting because first and foremost, I think it's sort of an environment for you to create things in, and so it's got an editor, it's got a library of objects, it's got all kinds of things that you can play with, and you can also build things to upload, and you can download other people's stuff. So it's a game about exploration in terms of how you build things and how you experience making games yourself. And there's a lot of opportunity to explore other people's content as well. And so I think that might become a little more apparent when we're looking at the project itself. But we have these various genres, and out from those genres come different gameplay objects and different visual styles. And you can use our editor to basically mash those things together and build something you want to build, or you can stick within one of those visual styles or one of those genres and build something in the same vein of some of our example games that ship with the Endless Mission. So it's hard to picture. It's hard to picture on your own. It's a lot easier when you see it and you're like, okay, I get it now. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for folks who saw the stream on Friday, where Kayla and Natalie are working on their Feisty Ferrets puzzle platformer project, they're building that project in the Unity game engine, directly. We wanted to do a project like that, and so we are. We also wanted to do a project as one of our first two projects that was a bit more focused on level design than it was on implementing technical systems, which is going to be part of what Kayla and Natalie are doing in addition to level design. Because, Dan, as you alluded to in your own biography, there are lots of different roles on a game making team, right? And there are lots of different disciplines that go into game making. Not every game project has to be engineering intensive. And one of the nice things about the Endless Mission, as you noted, is it's got lots of prefabricated pieces. It's sort of designed this way as an intro game making tool where you can mash things up and create very interesting, very varied, very nuanced levels, but you don't have to write code. And that allows us, to focus on the level design, of aspect of game making. And something I think, Cory, that this genre is particularly well suited for, because so much of a good stealth game is good level and good environment design, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Stealth gameplay is so much informed by where the enemies are and where the level takes you. So this project really lends itself to level design in particular, in placing things in a level, in arranging things in a way that feels good to play through, and guiding the player in that way.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that as we explore the project, we'll be expanding on that. We'll be looking at levels as folks, we create our demo levels, folks create demo levels. They'll get a sense of that. In fact, without any further ado, I mean, Cory, do you want to show us a little bit of what you've got in your prototype right now?
Sure. So this is an example level.
Oh, hang on, let me just bring it up. There we go. Okay, looking at your screen now.
Can you see? Yep. Okay, hide this. So this is an example level created to kind of showcase the mechanics and gameplay for Dawn City Heist. So as we start here, this is our entrance to the facility that we'll be breaking into. And we've got an NPC here called Oni. And we get to talk to her. We can learn a little bit about who she is and what this job is. What are we doing here? So it looks like we're looking for a power crystal. That's going to be our target treasure this time. But we also can find other loot. And she's going to tell us a little bit about the enemies we'll be facing. And the most important thing here is to stay out of sight. So now let's get going. She'll take off. It's time to start. As we enter this facility, we can see some of the enemies. There's these drones flying around, and they've got a vision beam, and that's where we want to stay out of. Also things located around here that we can collect. There's coins. There's a key card here. Uh-oh. Now he's spotted me, and if I don't get away fast enough, he will shock me and take me back to the start here.
How much health are you losing each time that he shocks you?
You are losing 1/5 of your health.
Cool.
Stay out of here. Whoa. Opened a door, and there's some cash inside. The other thing you can do to get away is hide in the environment. So there's these crates here, and when you're in these, the enemies can't see you. You can just pop back out when you need to. Stay away here, sneak past. Wait for him to go away. Now I can take these coins. Uh-oh, he saw me again. Got away from his territory. Now he'll just go past. This is a special key that will open the exit door. And while you're hidden, you can't move, but you can look around. So I can wait for the right moment to get out.
I like that mechanic a lot. The being able to look is key.
Yeah. In here, have this. And that is what we're after. This is our power crystal. So I'll grab this. Looks like there's one more coin I haven't gotten yet. Round.
Do you have to get all the coins to win the level?
You don't. You can just leave if you don't want to. Once you've got the target treasure and your exit key card, you can escape if you need to.
Okay.
I found the other one in that corner there, and now I'm ready to go. And that's what a heist level might look like in Dawn City Heist.
Nice. Job complete. Cool. All right, I'm back to the...
That's all done without code.
Exactly. Yeah. So you will not have to look at a single script to work on this project at all. It is all level building inside the endless mission.
So even the parts of that are saying, oh, you've got to collect this many, coins, and you need, this. I'm able to control that as a level designer without writing code?
For sure. Yeah. All of that is objects that you can mess with inside of the Endless Missions editor. And it's all designed in such a way that it's really intuitive. If you've never even used a game development tool before or an engine like Unity, it's pretty easy to pick up. And you won't have to look at the actual kind of back end of what's going on mechanically.
So, Dan, talk a little bit about that in the context of the game making process in a professional studio, right? Because I think there's a tendency for folks who are, and I mentioned this on Friday too, who are new to game design to say, oh, we're making games, so we're programming, right?
Right.
Is that true? Do games involve programming? If I'm on a game team, is everybody programming? How does that work?
Mostly there are programmers and there are people who are not programmers, and the programmers don't want the people who are not programmers programming. So yeah, it's very good to establish that respect of the boundaries between the disciplines and make sure that people are sort of helping each other to those goals rather than stepping on each other's toes. So generally, you want your engineers doing the programming, and you want your artists doing the art, and so most of the time, no, not everybody is programming. When you're on a small team, that may be different. When you're a solo developer, you may be doing everything. You may be doing audio engineering, you may be doing programming, but the bigger the team, the more the division of labor there is, and the better and cleaner it is to respect each other's sort of like disciplinary boundaries so that you guys aren't, causing a lot of confusion. I write code sometimes and submit it to a project, and I mark it very much with, hey, engineers, please delete this when you're ready to like build this for real. So I might stub something in, but I also know that is artist code and that it should not be production code. And so communicating with that team when I need to build something in of like, hey, I need this animation to go off at this certain time. The engineers are busy with this task. I could do that very quickly just so we can get a visual prototype going. But I also want to call those things out and let those engineers know when I've written something so that they know, all right, let's make sure that we tackle this and turn this into production code at some point. Or, very rarely they've said, hey, actually, this is fine, we can use it. And I'm like, no worries. So,
right.
But that's rare.
Yeah. And I think there is that division of labor, but the other thing that points out is it is helpful to know, even if you're an artist or even if you're a game designer, it's helpful to know how all the pieces fit together,
right,
and how all the systems, work, so that you can speak to it intelligently, or you can talk to your colleagues
right,
when you've got to have a point where you interface.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I think that the fact that division of labor does exist allows us to do a project like this in Endless Studios, which is primarily a level design focused project. And still have that be authentic and still have that be
Right.
representative of how game development really works.
Yes. Yeah.
So, Cory, if someone participates in this project, let's say they're watching now, or they watch the recording of this video and they're like, oh, cool, I get this. This is something I'd like to participate in. What kind of things can they expect to do on the project? What kind of tasks do we have for our participants to take on if they choose to?
So if you're going to work on Dawn City Heist, most of what you're going to be doing is level design. So you'll be building first a gray box, which you'll learn about that a little bit, is like a rough draft of the level, just a basic layout where you don't go into details with like really high quality visual assets. You're just marking the layout so that you can get a sense of how the level flows. And then after that, you'll be building full levels with environment props and lighting and all of the nice assets that you saw in that demo. And in between all of these, there'll be testing and iteration. So if you don't want to do level building, or if you do want to do level building, but you also want to help playtest, playtesting is another huge task that we're going to have people do. So if you want to play the games and give your feedback and help people make them better, that's how we will be iterating on and improving over time the levels that you guys are going to be making. So building your own heist level with your own spin on the environment and the story of what kind of treasure you're going after this time, that's going to be the biggest thing. And then playtesting and polishing. And we'll get to a stage towards the end of this where the levels are really refined. We make sure they're fun to play, and they look nice with all the high quality assets and the lighting and atmosphere and all of that. And then the best levels, the highly polished finished products, will be released on the content portal in the Endless Mission, so other players can look at those and play those as official Dawn City Heist levels.
So there's a lot to unpack there. I want to unpack at least some of it, because I think it will be interesting to folks again who are joining us and who are new to game development. You used some terminology there, Cory, that is authentic to very authentic to the game making process. But actually, before we do this, I see on the stream we have a so Crazy Coke Bros says, I have a question with a screen name like that. I'm slightly nervous, but if you have a question, Crazy Coke Bros, please go ahead and ask it. And we'll see if we can answer. So, I think while we're waiting for the question to come through, you use the term gray boxing, Cory, and you sort of explained it as you're sort of building an earlier version of a level. Dan, talk about how on a professional game making team, someone making levels might go from something that's a very early game level to something that is a more mature, more polished would be the term we use, that has a lot of the visuals or the lighting.
Yeah.
And talk about that process and why we do that when we make games.
Right. Yeah. So, just right off the bat, it takes a really long time to make finished art. A lot longer than people generally kind of believe. So when they sit down to do it, they're going, "Oh man, I need to change my estimation." So gray boxing is a great way to answer a lot of questions about the space you're playing in, the game mechanics and how they're playing together, the level design itself, the size of things, the way a game might feel before you have to commit that amount of time, or before you even have the ability to finish those assets. So in a game like Half-Life 2 or Dishonored or Thief, a gray box would literally be just untextured gray boxes and walls and just the very bare bones geometry, basically as boring as my apartment is, just to basically kind of get the idea of what is the space I'm playing in. Even things like, hey, is this area too large for the player to conceivably run across before they are seen by the AI in our specific example. Meanwhile, if you had an art team, if your team was big enough to have that division that we were talking about, the art team would be building those art assets and reacting to what design is saying. It's like, hey, we're going to have a pretty big building here, but it's a backdrop building. So, we're going to give you the dimensions and you're going to build something in that vein. But they might say, hey, we need some sort of doorway, and the doorway needs to be the dimensions of the player, and it needs to have this kind of, aspect to it. And then the art team would say, oh, okay, cool. We want to communicate these kinds of things with it. So a lot of times gray boxing might even feature some amount of coloring in there, like, oh, the lights are color lights, or the, we'll put a very basic texture on it that's like just a Google image that we slap on it. But gray boxing in general is like a very pure form of prototyping, and it lets you answer a lot of questions very quickly and have an amazing placeholder for the art team or a level designer to come back through and build the proper aspects or the proper art over top of it. So it's like your popsicle stick bridge test before you build your real bridge. So
yeah, and I think that concept, this came up in our stream on Friday as well. That concept of a level or a game in general doesn't all come together at once, right? Either when you're doing it on a massive AAA scale team, or even when you're doing it on a small scale, right? You physically can't do everything at once. Even if you have a lot of people on a team, you can't do everything at once. And when you make a game, you both add content to it. So like you might make level 1 and then make level 2 and then make level 3, so on and so forth. But you also, iterate, go through a cycle where you keep improving on or adding to individual levels or adding more content to them. And, what the gray boxing process, as you said, Dan, lets you do is the level designers can be working on the level of layout and making sure that it's fun and making sure that it's challenging, and tuning and iterating that kind of stuff, even without final art assets, because you don't need everything to look as awesome as it's eventually going to look, to say, well, is this jump, makeable on a platformer level or something that you were gray boxing? Is this sequence, with this many enemies in it too hard? Does the in a Dawn City Heist level, does the pathing work here or not? Oh no, there actually is never a point where I can squeeze between the detection ranges of these two drones, right? And that's what that lets you do, and that's why, as Cory said when he was describing the sequence, we're going to take levels through a gray boxing process, and then keep iterating and adding to them. So just to get back to the question we got on the stream, I'll paraphrase a little bit. It was basically saying, this is a really short stream. How do I get involved with the project? So yeah, just to set the stage, a little bit on how things are going to work. So Cory, the overall development process we have planned for this stage of the process, the project, how long is that planned to take?
For this first part, the first sprint that we're doing,
Yeah,
or
our
for the
first.
whole. Okay,
So the first sprint, the first section of the project is how long?
that's gonna be about a week and a half.
And what kind of stuff is happening during that 1 week to week and a half period?
So for this first part, this is our concept development sprint, and that is just getting familiar with the concept of the game, the look and feel that we're going for, and similar gameplay. So this is a time when you can be playing games that are comparable, like the ones that I talked about earlier, Thief and Dishonored, and you can be taking notes of observations that you have. We actually have a game observation form that you can fill out with your thoughts and things that you think could apply to Dawn City Heist. And that will be the focus of this first week, just getting familiar with that.
Yep. And then beyond that, in the sprints that follow that, in a sprint, for those who are new to the term, representing a short segment of work on a project that contributes to the whole. This overall phase, Cory, is what, 8 weeks? I think we targeted. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So our first several sprints will add up to 8 weeks, total. And what are we hoping to have to show for ourselves by the end of the 8 weeks?
So by the end, what we're hoping is that we'll have a variety of different, like fully polished, really nice, really fun levels of Dawn City Heist, which each level would be its own like self-contained heist mission where you go for one target treasure. Uh, and we'll have several of those all published to the content portal inside the Endless Mission as like official Dawn City Heist levels. And anyone would be able to go and look at that in the Endless Content portal and play those levels.
Cool. And so just to give the context and maybe bring it back to Crazy Coke Bros question. So not everything is going to be happening on the stream. Certainly not everything is going to be happening on this, approximately 1 hour long stream. The project, this overall phase of the project, as Cory said, will take place over about 8 weeks. And if you want to participate, there will be lots of opportunities for you to do that. As I've been using the term here, we call those tasks, right? A task is a specific thing you can sign up for and choose to do that contributes to the development of the project. So a task, to use Cory's examples, might be play, and do a quick analysis, fill out the analysis form for a comparable game. It might be do a gray box level. It might be play test someone else's gray box level and give feedback, right? And those individual tasks will be organized into the different sprints within the projects. You'll have an opportunity to choose to do them. And if you want to get involved with the project, choose to do one of the tasks that interests you and do it, right? Your commitment as a participant to the project is no greater than the tasks you choose to sign up for. Cory and Dan are the leads of the project, so they're going to be shepherding it through the whole 8-week development process. But you as a participant, if you're like, cool, I want to make a gray box level, make a gray box level, right? If you're like, I don't want to do that, but I want to play test other folks' levels when it comes time for that, do that. If you're like, man, this is the coolest project ever, and I want to do a bunch of stuff on it, do a bunch of stuff on it if your time permits, and that's the rhythm of it. One other logistical note I'll make is, the for those of you who maybe are watching the stream and are checking out the Endless mission, if you're participating in the program, we're going to make it available to you free of charge. So if you don't have it already, don't feel like you need to buy a copy on Steam right now. We'll make it available to you. And within the Endless Mission, within that Endless Mission game, you'll have all of the tools that you'll need to actually make the game. So Cory, I may be putting you on the spot here. Can you bring up the level we just played in the editor within the Endless Mission? All right, let me know when you're ready, and I'll switch back to your screen.
Yep, loading that up now. Okay.
So we already saw the playable level. And now, when Cory's ready, we'll take a look at what goes into making that level inside a tool like the Endless Mission, which I should note is designed to be simpler and more accessible and help onboard you. But it's in the vein and sort of is on a pathway to professional game making tools and the techniques and the way their interfaces work, things like Unity or Unreal Engine.
Mm-hmm. So this is ready to share. Is this up?
It is now up.
Cool. So this is just going to give like a little brief introduction to the editor inside of the Endless Mission. So this is a full game making tool that you have at your disposal inside of the Endless Mission. And if you've ever used an engine like Unity, a lot of this will be familiar to you. You have like a list of the objects in your scene. We call that the hierarchy. You have a list of objects that you can take and put in your level if you want. And then if you look at things, you can see in the inspector the components, which are like the little bits and pieces of logic that makes them work, the things that they have on them. So you can look and control all of this. In this level, I don't have it set up, but there are also views that you can use to simplify things and only look at certain things in your scene at once. So if you don't want to see all of the individual patrol drones and all of their paths and all of their logic that makes them move around, you don't have to. You can just look at like all the buildings or something like that. So you can move around in here.
And when you're moving around like that, Cory, you're moving a camera that shows us what you want to see as the level designer. That's completely different from the camera we saw, the scene being shown through during gameplay.
Correct. Yeah, this is totally different from the camera that you would use while playing the game. This is like a whole view of the entire level. And I can move around to wherever I want. I can zoom to things. If I want to, I can disable objects like the ceiling here. Get rid of that so I can see kind of the guts of my level. And like I said, you can zoom to things. Let me find a drone. Let's look at... That was very helpful. Let's look at his cone here. And this gives you all sorts of ways to kind of get up close and personal and familiar with the things in your level and move them around if you want to. So I can put him anywhere.
Yeah, and this model of how a game works, or when you sort of go behind the scenes here and you see how the playable level that we just saw is constructed, I should note, this is a extremely Unity or Unreal, like model, right? Down to how the objects in this scene are constructed, how the objects have components on them, how you can interact with them, how the playable game that you saw is deconstructed into the different objects and systems that make it up and you interact with to create gameplay.
Yeah, this is very much like something you'll see in a professional game engine that, like I said, if you've used Unity before, or if you are interested in game design as a career, this is very...
Oop, I think we lost Cory there for a second. We may have had a little blip with your internet, Cory. Are you there?
I think it's just his mic went out.
Oh, your mic may have gone out, Cory.
Am I back?
Yes,
you are back. You're back.
Okay.
Yep.
I think my mic got disconnected for a second there. You can hear me now, yeah?
Yes.
Yes.
Where did I cut out?
I don't know, because I may have been talking over you. So.
It was when you said, "Hi everybody, I'm Cory." So like about 56 minutes ago.
About 35 minutes ago. Yeah.
Sure. Just been watching my mouth
move
in silence.
Yeah, Dan's been doing your voiceover and as a professional ventriloquist. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the gist of what I was saying, basically, to sum up, is that this tool is a lot like what you'll use in even a professional engine, like if you're using Unity or even Unreal. Any professional game engine to make 3D games. This is like essentially it. These tools, if you get familiar with the Endless Missions editor, you will already be really familiar with any professional 3D game engine that you use.
And that's by design. It says, if we planned
it. It is designed to help you learn how to make games in 3D.
Funny how that works. So, I mean, I think that maybe just a couple other logistical comments. So for folks who have already signed up and said they wanted to participate, this is one of 2 projects you'll be able to participate in. Initially, we're going to be rolling out more, as time progresses, but these are our starting 2. You will receive some email from us within the next 24 hours on the details of sort of how to sign up, how to get on our Discord, how you'll be able to access the online system where you will be able to see these projects and sign up to do tasks on them, as well as the schedule of other live streamed events and conferences. We'll be doing a combination of live streams like this when it really is, folks like Cory and Dan and myself wanting to present something to the audience and, have as many people involved. In the course of developing the project, we'll also be doing, some more, Zoom or Teams or Google Meet style conferences, more integrated in the development process. And those won't be publicly live streamed. So if you choose to participate in one of those, we promise you will not end up, out on YouTube like the 3 of us are right now. But that's where we might, have a design discussion or, do some live interactive, playthroughs of the level. Or if in the course of working on the project, you've got questions, you'll always be able to contact someone on the team, whether that's someone like Dan or Cory creatively on the project, or we have folks like, if you saw the stream on Friday, Natalie, who are more on the learning side, who, if you've got questions about how to do something, or, oh man, I really want to do this, to help with Cory's project, but I don't quite understand it, Natalie will be able to help you. One of our other instructors will be able to help you, hook you up with some resources that might be useful, to learn there that we've put together. And I think that'll help things kind of go smoothly. Now, Cory, the level that you demoed for us, that's up in the Endless Mission content portal right now?
Yes.
So what's that called?
It is called Dawn City Heist Example Level.
And so folks who have the Endless Mission already could go into the content portal and play that right now, correct?
Yep.
And I suppose they could open it in the editor too and take a look behind the scenes like we just did.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So Dan, artistically, creatively, as we mentioned earlier, I know we drew inspiration in some of the assets we're using here from our existing aesthetic that we use in our kart racer game in the Endless Mission. What other assets have you done or are you planning to do around the heist stuff?
So you saw some of the drones, the vision cones, and Oni herself were actually built for this this thing we're doing now. They didn't exist in the Endless Mission before, but because before all of the assets that you saw on screen were actually for a different genre of game that exists in the Endless Mission. That's our kart racer. And Cory was just like looking through these things, and he's like, I think I can use this. I think I can change the way this is sort of like represented to get a different feel. And so that was something that was actually really cool for me, was to see somebody take our assets for like, oh, this is actually a track side piece, but Cory's like, no, it could be a wall. Like that was a really fun thing for me to see him repurpose assets that were already there and really get a lot more out of them than we had initially planned for. But yeah, the three big assets that we built for this for gameplay and narrative purposes were the character, the drone, and the vision cones, so that users players could see where they were from. We don't have anything open right now in terms of like planning to build more custom assets, but we're keeping our eye on that, because if people are going into it and they're like, man, it would really make our lives a lot easier if we had something like this, then I think that would be a really, really good thing to jump on very quickly and build something for and upload it for people to use. So that's something we're keeping our eye on, and we want to be like really cognizant of, because there might be a common element that a lot of developers might want to use that we didn't think of. So shout out to us if you're all feeling like that there's something that's really missing from this.
Well, but it's also super common and super organic to the game making process, right? Mm-hmm. Where you don't necessarily know where it's going to be, and we've again, Cory, you've made demo levels that you're obviously drawing inspiration from some classic titles in the genre, but we'll make some levels and we'll play test and we'll see what works. And that may cause us to tweak stuff. It may cause us to want to, you know, tweak the way some of the play mechanics work. It may cause us to say, oh man, we know what we could really use is a different visual asset for this or a new visual asset for that. And that's kind of what we do as game makers. And so we'll see where it goes. And I think as folks start making levels and we see what comes back and we see where folks' interests and ambitions lie, as you say, Dan, that may cause us to, you know, focus in on one thing versus the other and make some new stuff.
Any excuse for me to make cyberpunk-y style art is a good thing. So
that is one of your favorite that I do know about you.
Yeah. I do. Yeah, I kind of feel like there's a lot of medieval stuff out there. There's a lot of fantasy stuff, and I think it's time for you know, that cyberpunk aesthetic to make a
cyberpunk really not a lot of people are familiar with it. They should do a cyberpunk aesthetic. Maybe they should set it in some
kind of game or something.
Maybe set it in the year 2077 or approximately. So I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe arbitrarily that year sounds really good to me for no.
Yeah, and it should have tons of bugs in it also.
Yes.
When it launches.
Actually, we're hoping to not have a lot of bugs in this. So we'll see.
I am confident. I'm going to make a bold prediction right now. These levels that we release will have fewer bugs in them than Cyberpunk 2077 in total. That's my prediction.
I hope so.
Yeah,
we'll see.
That's a fairly safe prediction because I think it's you know, the bigger the game, the more opportunity for bugs, and we're just slightly smaller in scope than Cyberpunk 2077.
I will also make a prediction and say that Keanu Reeves will not be in any of our levels. But actually, I'd love to be proven wrong by a very creative level maker in our game.
I'm not even gonna say it. I have a terrible Keanu Reeves, but it's more like the Parenthood era Keanu Reeves impersonation that I did. So, you know, we'll probably get sued, but we could have, you know, the cheaper alternative. I'm known among my friends as the poor man's Keanu Reeves. So, yeah. Cool. Well, guys, is there anything else you think our viewers or potential participants, you know, should know if you want to make, you know, a last ditch pitch for folks to get involved, or they should know about how you want to approach making you know, the game, you know, the kind of culture you want for your team? Go for it.
Sure. I will say kind of the purpose behind the Oni character wasn't necessarily just so that I could have an excuse to make a character model in the middle of the week, but
because you don't really need an excuse for that.
I'm just going to do it. But it was actually an opportunity to allow users to try and build in some amount of narrative to their game. So she actually has a little controller on her that lets you determine what kind of dialogue options you want.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
And so you can actually, and it's supposed to be built so that you don't have to do any code with it. So you just link to events, and I've exposed the animation triggers as event receivers or whatever. So you can essentially say on this trigger, play your, you know, yes animation, play your no animation, play your leave animation. And Cory repurposed this cool asset that one of our other designers had made for sort of a kind of a soft dialogue system. And so the point of that is really so that users can kind of try and set up and tell a little story of their own, not just with the environmental visual storytelling, but with, you know, some character interaction and things like that. I was kind of making a test level myself that takes place in like a waste processing facility, and she has different, you know, dialogue there where she's like, here's why we're here and why we're sneaking into this. And so I'm hoping I could put that up and show people that, you know, you can kind of tell a different story using the same elements, and there's a lot of wiggle room there. And because the stuff that Cory set up actually lends itself to doing a lot more than just, hey, enter this space, steal a thing and leave. You can imply a lot more stuff with the things we have there. And I think that'll be fun for people to play with and expand the universe of what's going on in Dawn City and why you're heisting with Oni so much. So.
First of all, it wouldn't be a Dan Williams, you know, project if there were not a narrative element to it. So I'm gratified that's there. And but I also think, you know, when I think about the first two projects we'll have in the studio, you know, we have our ferret themed puzzle platformer, you know, which is both a very, you know, kind of fun, light, whimsical, creative conceit to it, but it's also, you know, a very narrative light type of game. As well. Like, I don't think we're giving the ferrets extensive, you know, backstories or you know, deep psychological, you know, complexity. But
it's written in there. We just it's all in the background. You don't.
Oh, the ferrets.
surface- yeah.
Ferrets have a deep inner life. It's just all
Yeah.
here. We know,
Right.
and they
Yeah,
know.
we know. Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily come across in the gameplay, I guess.
Right.
But so I think that having a project like that, and then the diversity to have something here where you actually can bring narrative to the forefront in your levels if you choose to, and weave that in, and maybe that's a thing that folks will gravitate to, and we'll end up with something that was more narrative than we were maybe expecting, which would be awesome. And that's also the kind of thing that can emerge when you make games. Well, guys, I thank you for your time. We're about at the time on our stream today. So again, folks who want to get involved, if you have not signed up to participate and you think this sounds cool, you can sign up at studios.theendlessmission.com and get a beta invite. And those of you who have already signed up or will sign up in response to this, again, you can look for some email from us within the next 24 hours or so with all the information you'll need to access our project portal, where you'll be able to see this project and sign up for tasks on it, how to get your copy of The Endless Mission, how to join our Discord, and we'll follow up with the live stream schedule for this project, the other project, everything we're doing in the studio. As well, do like or subscribe on YouTube. I've always wanted to say that, and I finally got the chance to just now. Because I say it 5 times a day, joking, but I actually got to say it in a contextually appropriate way, which pleases me.
Finally, it means something. It applies. So.
Yeah. If we don't get any additional subscribers as a result of that, I'm going to feel like a total failure. So please do like and subscribe.
At least one of you.
But that way you will. That's another way that you can get all the updates about when we're going to be live streaming. Because we in all seriousness, we will. Be every chance we can, we'll schedule those in advance so folks can know when they're coming and plan for it. So I thank everybody for joining, and you, Dan, and you, Cory, and for everybody watching. And we look forward to seeing you participate in Dawn City Heist.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you guys so much.